This is your math gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where all of my videos are organized by topic. Alright, this is video 17 in our series of videos on solving equations with decimals. And we do all of these problems at least two ways. One is to just work with all the decimals, do the arithmetic with them as we work through the problem as if there weren't decimals, and the other is to eliminate all the decimals first. So first I'm going to do it by just keeping the decimals as they are. And we see we have a parentheses over here, so we'll need to do the distributive property. So this gives me, on the left side, just exactly the same thing. But on the right side, we're going to distribute our 0.17 to both terms here in parentheses. So it's 0.17x equals, and then we have to do 17 times 4. I do that by multiplying by 2 and then multiplying by 2 again. So I just double it, 3468. So that's 68. But there's really 2 digits after the decimal, so I have to make sure my answer has 2 digits after the decimal as well. Now we want to get the variables on one side and constants on the other. So it doesn't matter which side you put it on, but I noticed that 0.17 is bigger than 0.15. So I'm going to put the variables on the right-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 0.15x. So if the variables on the right side, I also want to subtract the 0.68. Now be careful over here. I don't really have much room here. I'm going to rewrite this as 0.80, giving myself a little space. So I'm going to subtract 0.68. You're going to have to make sure that you line up your decimal points. You might have to do that on the side for scratch work if there was no room on your paper. All right, so what do we have here on the left-hand side? I've got 0.80 minus 0.68, and that's 0.12. And on the right, I've got 0.17 minus 0.15, that's 0.02x. And now we could just divide by 0.02. And of course, if you have your calculator, you can get the answer by putting this in the calculator, but otherwise you want to make sure the denominator has a whole number. So if I multiply the bottom by 100, I get to move the decimal 2 to the right in both numerator and denominator. So this is really the same thing, right, as 12 over 2, which is just the number 6. So I get 6 equals x, or x equals 6. All right, so that's solving the problem just like we would solve it as if there were no decimals, but we just have to be working with decimals and arithmetic throughout the whole problem. Let's do it by eliminating all the decimals right off the bat and then solving the equation. So I see there are 3 different decimals in this problem, and the most digits after the decimal point is 2, right? So I would like to multiply both sides by 100. So in other words, I'm going to multiply the left-hand side by 100 and the right-hand side by 100. I usually like to use a different color here just so you could see what's different. Okay, so when I do the distributive property on the left, remember you're multiplying 100 by each of these terms, right? You get to move the decimal 2 to the right, so that's 15x. And this one, when I multiply by 100, it goes over 2 to the right. That becomes 80. And here's the tricky one for a lot of people. You are not distributing the 100 by what's in the parentheses. First, you just multiply these two numbers, and then you do the distributive property in the next step. So 100 times 0.17 is 17, and now when I distribute, I am distributing with a whole number. Okay, so next step, do the distributive property. And then we continue getting the variables on the left and constants on the right. Just to do it slightly differently, I'll just put the variables on the left this time. So we'll subtract 17x and we'll subtract 80 from both sides. So on the left-hand side, I have negative 2x because 15 minus 17 is negative 2. But over here, we got to be more careful. I've got 68 minus 80. So I'm adding a positive and a negative number. So it's going to be negative, and then you do 80 minus 68 to get the answer. So it's really easier, and that's why I did it the first way around, putting the variables on the right side. I had the bigger number on top. All right, then we just divide by negative 2, and we've got x equals 6. You know, for this one problem, I could easily have 5 different students doing, you know, them all just slightly differently, very easily. There isn't just one way to do this. You might put the variables on the right, you might put the variables on the left, you might multiply both sides by 100 in the first step, or you might not do that at all, etc. So let's go ahead and check our answer, see if x equals 6 is the correct answer. So we're going to replace x with 6. And we'll simplify the left-hand side first. So I have 15 times 6. All right. So 15 times 6 is 90. But I've got two places after the decimal, so I'm going to have to bring that in. So it's 0.90 plus 0.8. And of course, 0.90 is the same thing as 0.9, right? So if you want to see that as 0.9 plus 0.8, and then you could line up your decimals and add that up, you get 1.7. Right, now on the right-hand side, we will also plug in 6 for the variable. And then we're going to do our order of operation, which means we simplify inside parentheses first. 6 plus 4 is 10. Next we do our multiplication, and we're multiplying by 10 just means we get to move the decimal 1 to the right, so it's 1.7. So I got 1.7 on both sides. So that means our solution up here, x equals 6, was correct. So our answer to this problem is 6 using a solution set and braces. This is your math gal, Julie Harland. Please visit my website at yourmathgal.com, where all of my videos are organized by topic.